Yeah, yeah. Why put your efforts towards something where it's not a win? And that's a
Yeah.
lot of what happens when you talked about RV. They started promoting keywords that they know they could win, but those weren't things that were driving in customers. I know you actually have a landscaping client, and this is
Mhm.
an analogy I remember from my strategy session where you talked about there were certain areas where yes they have signed contracts,
Mhm.
but those are exclusive, so you're not getting in there. So
Right.
why promote to some area if you know that they have exclusive contracts and you're not going to be able to get in unless that person gets fired, and then you might be able to pitch your
Right.
services. So
Right.
if you're putting a lot of your budget into areas where someone already has it on lock, that's not a good use of your budget. That's not a good use of
Mhm.
your time. You want to talk to someone that can be able to explain things in a way that says, here's what I know, and fill me in on the things that I don't know so that I can make sure we're on the same page and we're not doing something where I'm trying to push you into in a direction where it's not getting you something. You're not getting the repiping. You're not getting the exclusive contracts for an area that already has something where it's a long contract. I know here our internet and TV service is locked in.
Mhm.
So as much as I know that there are better services out there, they'd have to run wires and do a whole bunch of things. And the area that I'm in, they're like, no, this is an
No.
exclusive area. You're not doing that. It would uproot all the things that we would want to be able to do. So we could have better service, but we don't have
Mhm.
better service. We have that service. So you have to
Mhm.
know those things when you're getting into it. And you also have to know some of the back alley deals that are going on because
Mhm.
I can give you an example. As much as I'm talking about how exclusive it is, this area is also something where they have contracts. And every
Mhm.
time they lock in those contracts, some of these contracts are created so that it's not just that they're giving them the best price, they're also
Mhm.
getting kickbacks on something. So you
Yes.
want to understand what it is that you're looking at. If you don't
Mhm.
understand the nuances, then you could be putting a lot of effort into things that aren't going to get you where you want to be able to go. So we're talking about from not just the client side, but how to be able to identify agencies when you're outsourcing. We're talking about these different insights so that you know what to be able to ask and you have a better idea of what you're looking at. And this is one of the reasons why I want to be able to have you on because you can talk about these things. I know what I know, but I wouldn't know to say Texas Gulf of, I wouldn't add in the Gulf. I wouldn't know to be able to say that.
Yeah, Gulf Coast. Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't know that. So
Yes,
it's
sir.
it's
Yes,
knowing
sir.
that these are things that you need to be able to ask someone that can actually give you that honest answer.
How about
And I'll
how about
follow it up
this?
with saying,
Forgive me. How about this? Just
no,
to
no,
double this down a little bit more. Understanding and again talking to the agency that you're outsourcing to or the client that's hired the agency. Even if they, because there's so many times where you talk to people and they want to know, have you worked in this industry, right? And I think that that's important, but at the same time, you sometimes get false positives, right? Yeah, I've worked in the industry. One thing that we all have to make sure of is like again to use my Texas, my Houston analogies, right? Because they work really well for me here, though I'm not a native. Understanding that some parts of town flood more than others, right? So if I'm talking to a restoration company, I'm talking to them about where they don't need to be, right? And granted, almost everywhere here floods because it's a swamp, but some places are guaranteed flooding whenever it's hurricane season. It never fails. Whereas other parts, my subdivision don't flood. We don't flood like that. In the 10 years it's been here, there's never been a flood here, right? So if I'm working your overall marketing, right, not SEO, but overall marketing, and I'm telling you you need to go over to this subdivision and put door hangers in, I'm wasting your money, right? They should be able to understand that. So it's the same idea. Again, I know it's no different than the other ones, but I think it's important that not only do you think about what industries they service, again, make it about your business because they're servicing your business. Whether you're an agency or a client, focus in on that real hard. Because being here in Houston, I've learned so much nuance in location because of the way that Houston is set up.
let's not discount that because you mentioned insurance, and I can say from insurance we don't get earthquakes here. So if
Right.
someone tried to sell me on earthquake insurance, I remember when they had the earthquake in New York, and it wasn't that long
Yes.
ago. And people were like, "Oh
Yes.
my God, the earthquake! Like, were you here? Did you awake?" And I was like, "I lived in California. That wasn't an earthquake. I rolled over and went back to sleep. Like, it wasn't a big thing to me. Like, talk
Yeah.
to me when you get up to like 7, 8, and then, then we can have a conversation. I experienced that in California. So when
Mhm.
I'm in California and now where they're talking about like with the fires, like
Mhm.
you have to know the areas to understand like what will put you at risk. Like if you're an insurance agency and you're trying to figure out how to be able to offer insurance, but you're
Mhm.
really not trying to pay out,
Mhm.
do you really want to be offering something that you know is going to be common, that's going to come
Mhm.
up a lot? And then that means that you need to actually have more support. You need to have people in place so that you're going to get more support calls for things like the forest fires. If you're in LA, you need to know that's coming up. So when they call, they can get you, because even if you got the greatest service, if they can't get you on the phone to be able to give them that service, that's going to be a problem. So let's not discount what it is that you said, because that is going to be relevant. It's also something you have to know your business. And if you're
Mhm.
going into it and you're going into a new industry, or you're trying to scale and branch out, you also need to be able to learn those things. And you can learn it from either being boots on the ground, or you can learn from other businesses that are out there. So there's a lot of information that you're giving. And I just want to make sure that people are pulling out the thread so that they know how to be able to align it with what they're doing. Because you've been doing this for so long and you've had so many conversations that it's easy for us to be able to talk about, but I also want to make
Mhm.
sure that they get it and they can actually take action with it, because everything that you're giving them is giving them the information. And now it's going to be all about momentum of, okay, well, now what are you going to do with it? So I just wanted to pump the brakes on that, because yes, if you know that there's an area that floods, if you're a business that specializes in floods, why would you not want to make sure that you're there? Because it's probably going to be plenty of work that can be done. And sometimes someone may have an exclusive contract, or they may be the go-to person there. But if they get so many people that have an issue, you may be able to get a foot in the door because they had an overflow and they needed to be able to get something. So even if you're not the main person, again, not everybody is competition. Sometimes someone may get so much work that they don't know what they're doing. They can't take on all the work, and they need to be able to outsource it to someone that they know that they can trust enough to deliver those results. Because we both know if we give referrals to someone and they have a bad experience, they're not going to just be mad at that person. They're going to be upset with us because we sent it to them.
100%.
So it's being mindful of things like that, and I want to make sure that we cover those things as well. Yeah, I mean, you've been doing this for a long time. You're very educated in how you go about doing it. But one of the things that also stood out to me is that we both know there are tiers to it. There's some
Mhm.
people are like, it's DIY. It's done with you and done for you. There are the
Mhm.
people that want to say, well, I don't really have the budget. I would rather you tell me everything that I need to know, and then I can figure out how to be able to do it. That is an audience. People can, if you're a business and you're trying to figure out how to be able to generate money, there is a whole lane for you in DIY. If you're a good educator, if you can explain things in a way that makes sense,
Mhm.
there's a whole audience for you. You may have to work with volume because you're
Mhm.
probably not going to charge as much, but
Mhm.
you can get done what you need to be able to get done. It stood out to me because you also work with making sure that you teach people. So you
Yeah.
ask them, are you someone that wants to learn, or are you someone
Mhm.
that wants to have the work done? And
Mhm.
there's an important distinction there. And I'd love for you to be able to talk about that, because this is how people can start to find the person that works best for them. You need to find something that aligns with how you learn, or whether you want to learn or not. Sometimes you have more time than money, then yes, you want to be able to learn more about it. But if you've got more money than time, where, listen, I'm not just running the business, I'm owning the business. I have all these other things I have to see to. This isn't on the list of things that I need to know. You ask these questions to be able to get to that, so you know how to be able to service them in the right way. So
Mhm.
it would be great if you could walk me through some of that, and how you go about doing it, not just for your clients, but when you get brought in on the partnership calls.
Yes, sir. For us, I was thinking about this earlier today because again, the young lady I spoke to earlier today, man, and I was walking through her with the domain, right? And I was like, man, I actually don't have a DIY downloadable or anything like that, right? It's something that I've always been hesitant with, just because uh, excuse me, I don't think I know where to start or end, right? To be candid, right? I'm a nerd, so I know I'll end up going too far in any directions. We don't offer that, but I think the with you, we used to be with you, but the problem, like you described with content, right, is because now the only thing we deal in is content, and waiting for people to get back to you on content is miserable. So the reason we ask the question now is so that I know you're still going to get your reports. And for some of my clients, I don't talk to them, right? The only time I talk to them is if they have a problem. That's it, right? I have several clients like that. A lot of my clients I don't care, right? As long as the phone's ringing and business is good, you're doing a good job. I don't care. Now, the ones who want to learn and want to understand, and when I say learn and understand, I don't necessarily mean I'm going to show you how to get into the website and change page titles, but you should understand what a page title is, right? Sometimes I'm telling clients, and again, if I forget to ask that question, and I'm like, well, we got to go in, we're going to do this and that. And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, I'm sorry. Do you want to know, do you want to have it piece by piece, or you just want to know we've got some stuff, right? That's how you like to hit it. We got some stuff, and this will happen after the stuff. Cool, I can talk
The
like that too.
thingamajig.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. The one over there, so We we use it so that we know how much reporting that needs to be done, right? Because again, you're still going to get the report. I also know it also tells me if you ever look at the report, because that's also going to cater to how we're having our conversations, right? Now, instead of going through the metrics of the reporting, I'm just going to say, Sean, how many people do you, first off, how are we tracking your phone calls, right? Not my field of expertise, but I do need to know how many phone calls come in, right? I'm not going to go based on your feelings, right? I learned that when I was in sales. Sometimes it feels like nobody's calls just because they ain't spending no money. You
Mhm.
had 100 calls, but
Mhm.
you sent me no money.